Now we are ready to start.
My guest today is the legendary American footballer Joe Theismann, who retired from the game in 1985. Joe, what is your earliest sporting memory?
Playing sport, day in, day out, in South River, New Jersey, the little town I grew up in. Population 8,000. I lived 2 blocks from my high school. There were tennis courts, baseball fields, and American football fields attached. And I was down there participating in sports almost from the day I could walk. The first recollection I have of a major sporting occasion was going with my father to see the New York Giants play. I was 12. The Giants were a great side then.
Which sports did you play when you were growing up?
Well, there was baseball. In fact, I had a chance to play professional baseball, but I turned it down to play football. And I did all kinds of athletics when I was growing up. And basketball. My family hadn't been professional sports people. My dad was a boxer in the Army, and my abilities to do the things I could probably came from my mom. They worked hard and sacrificed so much for me, taking me to sporting events I was competing in.
Why did you choose a life in sport? And if you hadn't, what would you have done?
Sport was what I grew up with. It was the only thing I knew, and all I wanted to know. I had no desire to do anything but participate in sports. I was blessed with athletic ability, and I wanted to make the best of what I had. I was always told that I was too small, too skinny, too slow, not tough enough, and I never ever believed what people told me. That has stayed with me. I've always said, don't let anyone else control your dreams. At the University of Notre Dame, I majored in sociology and business, but I never really thought of how those subjects would lead to any kind of gainful employment.
What was the toughest part of your sporting life?
Leaving it so suddenly, with no chance to prepare for it. At 9 p.m. on November 18th, 1985, I was one of the best-known professional football players in America, and at 10 p.m., I was a hospital patient with a compound fracture of my leg, my career over. I realized suddenly that you become an afterthought. It is so hard for people to understand. No matter how great or how talented you are at sport, the next great one is already sitting there waiting to take your place. It took me a good 3 years to adjust mentally to being away from the game. But I was lucky enough to get into broadcasting, perhaps because I was never afraid to speak my mind.
That is the end of the task.